So we have a problem here. I buy a TV for rupees 10,000 and sell it at a profit of 20%. How much money do I get for it? So the cost price is what? Cost price is rupees 10,000. This is the cost price at which I bought this TV and sell it at a profit of, so this is the profit that is given in percentage, that is 20%. How much money do I get for it? That is, I have to calculate selling price. Okay, when I sell it at a profit of 20%, how much money do I get for it? That is, I have to calculate the selling price. This is unknown. Now, we know that the profit is always calculated on the cost price. In this case, the profit is 20% and cost price is 10,000. So what is the exact amount of profit made on this percentage? So 20% of 10,000. This will give us the exact amount of profit made when we sell this particular item on this percentage. It means what? 20% of 10,000. And if I calculate it, this gives us rupees 2,000, right? So this is the profit that I make. This is the profit, exact amount of profit that I make if I sell this TV that I have purchased for the cost price of rupees 10,000 at the profit of 20%. Okay, so this is the exact amount. Now, since this is what? This is profit, so we know that selling price will minus cost price is equal to what? Is equal to profit. Okay. Therefore, selling price will be cost price plus profit. That's very simple. Therefore, selling price comes, cost price is how much? 10,000. Profit is how much? Is 2,000. If you add these two, you get selling price as rupees 12,000. This is the selling price. Now this was one way to calculate the selling price. There can be one more way, and that is unitary method, using unitary method. Now, in this second case, what is the profit? Profit is 20% in the percentage term. So 20% is the profit. It means that when your cost price is 100, in this condition, when your cost price is 100, that's what 20% is selling. When the cost price is 100, you make profit of 20 rupees. This 20% means what? The profit of 20% means that when the cost price is 100, you make profit of 20. Therefore, for 1, you get 20 or 100. Therefore, for the cost price 10,000, the exact cost price, we are using the unitary method. So for exact 10,000, that's a real cost price. On 100, you make profit of 20. That's what this 20% tells us. So for 1, this much. Therefore, for 10,000, your profit will be this much. And if you can see, if you solve, you have got this step only. So this gives you rupees 2,000 profit. This is the profit that you make on the cost price of 10,000. Can you see you have actually got the same result here? Now you can follow this same path. Since this is profit, so profit is equal to selling price minus cost price, and then you can solve, you will get the same result. You sell a washing machine for rupees 13,500. You sell a washing machine for rupees 13,500. So the information that is given to us is of selling price, that is rupees 13,500. You lose 20%. So loss in percentage is 20% in the bargain. What was the price at which you bought it? So you know selling price, and when you were selling this washing machine, you were trying to bargain with the customer, and in that bargaining you actually made a loss of 20%. So what was the actual cost price, the price at which you bought it? So we have to calculate the cost price that we don't know. Now we can solve this problem too in two different ways. Let us take the first way. So the first way, here if we assume that let the cost price is what is X, let the cost price be X. Now we know that profit and loss both are actually on the cost price. So in this case, you don't know the exact amount of what exact amount you have lost in the process of bargaining. So if we calculate the loss will be what? The exact amount loss. The percentage, that is 20% of the cost price, right? That is X. So what you get? You get 20 over 100 times X. So this is the exact amount, the loss that you are making. Rupees this much. Okay. Now, since this is a loss, so we know that cost price minus selling price is equal to loss, right? Since this is loss, it gives us cost price is equal to loss plus selling price. So what's the cross price? We have assumed that let the cross price be X. So this is X. Now this X is equal to, what's loss? Loss is this much. So 20 over 100 times X plus, what's the selling price? Selling price is 13,500. 13,500. Now let's solve this. This becomes X is equal to 20x over 100 plus 13,500. I'm solving it here. Now if you see here, if I take this 20x over 100 to this side, to the left side, this becomes x minus 20x over 100. This becomes 13,500. And if you solve it, you get 100x minus 20x over 100 equal to 13,500. This gives you 80x over 100, 13,500, and this 80x by cross product, this gives us 13, then 5, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 zeros. This gives us x is equal to 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 80. 1 0 is gone here. This becomes x is equal to 1, 3, 5, and 3 zeros and 8. So let's divide this. If you divide this, you get x is equal to rupees 16875. So this x is what? X means x is what? Cost price. Therefore, the cost price is rupees 16875. Okay, so this was the first way. There is another way. Let's solve using that. So the second way will be in this second case, here it's given that you make loss of 20% in the bargain and the selling price is 13,500. So now in this case, when your cost price is 100, you are making a loss of rupees 20. At 100 cost price, you make a loss of rupees 20. Therefore, if cost price is 100, your loss is, if cost price is rupees 100, you make loss of rupees 20. Therefore, at this condition, what will be the selling price? Of course, selling price in this case is your cost price minus loss is equal to what? Is equal to selling price. And selling price is what? 100. Loss is what? 20. This will be selling price. So selling price comes as rupees 80. That was really simple, right? So this 20% tells us that when our cost price is 100, we make a loss of rupees 20. So if cost price is 100, loss of rupees 20, then at this cost price, your selling price comes as rupees 80. That is, if the cost price is 100, loss is 20, therefore selling price will be rupees 80 on this condition. So let's apply the unitary method here. Let's apply the unitary method. When your selling price is rupees 80, then your cost price is how much? Rupees 100, right? Therefore, for 1, because we are using unitary method, for 1, this comes as rupees 100 over 80. Therefore, if when the selling price is rupees 13,500, for selling price rupees 13,500, your cost price will be rupees 100 over 80 and this 13,500. If you solve it, this gives us rupees 13,512,3,4 and divide by 80, and then you get rupees, if you solve it, you get rupees 16875, exactly the same amount that we have got in our previous step. That is the first way. Okay, so the first way was the usual way in which we proceed. The second way was using the unitary method. Okay, I thought to share both these two ways to solve the problem. Now let's move to the third problem. A chalk contains calcium, carbon and oxygen in the ratio 10:3:12. So we have this chalk. Let's say this is a chalk. Okay, this chalk contains calcium, carbon and oxygen in the ratio 10:3:12. This is for calcium, this is for carbon, and this is for oxygen. Find the percentage of carbon in the chalk. Percentage of carbon in the chalk. Now, this is the ratio. And if you remember, when we were discussing about ratio, we discussed that how can we convert a ratio in the form of fraction. So in order to convert this in the form of fraction, because we have to calculate percentage, the first step will be convert this in the form of a fraction. So for that, total number of parts. And what is the total number of parts? You add these three. 10 plus 3 plus 12, 13, and then plus 12 means 25. So total parts is 25. What does that mean? It means that if I take this chalk and I assume that I have divided this chalk in 25 equal parts, into 25 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say we went up to this. This is the 25th part. That's what this 25 parts is telling. That if I take this chalk, I divide this into 5 equal parts. Then if I assume that assume it into a form of 25 equal parts, then this 3, this ratio, that is the 3 parts of it. 3 parts of it is actually what is made of carbon. Then next 10 we can think of as 1, 2, 3 and so on. Let's say that this was a 10th one, is for calcium, and the remaining 12 parts, let's say this was a 12th part, is for oxygen. This total number of parts tells us that, because we are dealing with fraction. So these three parts for carbon, what fraction do they make? Since this is 3 equal parts, so 3 or 25. So this is the fraction of carbon in this chalk. First we take the total number of, calculate the total number of parts, and then we can think of it as that this chalk has been divided into 25 equal parts. Out of that 25 equal parts, 3 equal parts are for carbon. So what fraction will it represent? 3 over 25. The second step is that now since you have this fraction and now you have to calculate percentage, simply multiply this with 100%. And why? Because this whole chalk, one complete chalk, represents what? It represents 100%. It represents what? It represents 100%. Therefore, in order to calculate that what percentage this fraction represents, you have to do this thing. That a fraction times of this whole 100%. If you solve it, you get what? You get 12%. So this is the percentage of, like this is 25. So if you divide this 25 with this 100, you get 4. And 3 times 4 is what? 12%. So 12% is the percentage of carbon in this chalk. The second part of this question, that is B part. If in the stick of chalk, carbon is 3 gram, what is the weight of chalk stick? Again, if in the stick of chalk, carbon is 3 gram, now it's saying that the weight of this carbon is what? Is 3 gram. The weight of this carbon is 3 gram. What is the weight of chalk stick? For that you have to assume that let the weight of, this is the B part, let the weight of the chalk stick be X gram, right? That's simple. So if the weight of this chalk is X gram and the percentage of carbon is what? 12% in this whole chalk. It means what? Even the weight will also be exactly the same percentage. Why? Because carbon is present in 12% in this chalk. Therefore, the weight of the carbon will also be the 12% of this whole weight of this chalk. If the weight of the chalk is X gram, then the 12%, that is X gram, the 12% of this X gram. And why 12% of this X gram? Because the carbon is present in 12% in this chalk. So 12% of this X gives us what? 3 gram, because that information is given to us. So now if you solve it, you get 12x is equal to, or 100 is equal to 3, and then 12x becomes 300, and if you divide this x as 300 and divide by 12, then this will be 12 to 24. 12 times 2 is 24, 6, 25 gram. Okay, so this is actually the weight of the whole chalk. That is, the weight of the whole chalk is what? 25 gram.